The Retro Buzz starts right after this.
Hey guys, it is Friday and it's time for the Retro Buzz, and we've got a pretty awesome guest with us today. We were talking with him right before the show, and you guys are in for a treat. He's got a lot of really cool things he's been working on besides the Amiga. But last week we had a real interesting guest. We had Scorpion with us. This week, it looks like we have Glenn Stark.
Happy to be here. I've upgraded my AI to Amiga OS 3.15. So best suit ever.
But you're dead.
Well, define dead. Holograms. The glove.
Dead, nailed in the coffin. Poof, kapoosh. Bill, bought the farm.
But you got to realize.
Kicked the bucket.
You got to realize I'm on Titan. It takes time for light to travel back and forth. So I'm still alive right now. So I haven't been snapped away yet. I like my hair though. Got nice hair.
Well, yeah. At least there's you have nice hair, but you can't compete with this man, Mr. Douglas Smith. YouTube.com/cooltoy. I had to say it.
I'm just glad I no longer have to bear the weight of being the handsome person on the show. We now have
Glenn Stark.
Tony Glenn. Yeah, Glenn Stark, whatever his name is. He now, has that beautiful coiffed hair. Mine is covered underneath this do-rag. So yeah, I'll let Glenn Stark take over the handsome role of the show now, and I'll be the wisecracking guy.
Well, yeah, I don't know what to say to that one. I'm not, you have some tough shoes to fill, Mr. Amiga Bill. We've got with us from thegurumeditation.org. Welcome, Mr. Amiga Bill.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, it is great to have. And I made a comment, and I'm gonna before I turn it over to Glenn, because once Glenn goes, it's gonna be like Nerd Talk City, which is cool. But I asked him. I said, we had a bunch of Amiga people on the last couple shows, different shows, and they were all Glenn's age or older. And I said to Amiga Bill, I said, how the heck did you get wrapped up in this? Because I know both Doug and I, we never grew up with the Amiga.
Yeah.
So Bill, answer that for us.
Well, maybe I'm a little bit older than I look. I'm 45 years old. I got my first Amiga in 1987. It was Christmas 1987. So I was 12 years old at that point. I'm super lucky because, my dad and my mom are super supportive. And, when the Amiga 1000 came out in 1985, it was just like, it was kind of like my dream computer. I used to look at remember the old games used to come in the boxes, and on the back, they'd have screenshots of all the different systems. They'd show like Atari, Commodore 64, like Apple II. Then there was like Amiga, and Amiga always looked so good. I was like, oh man, like I dream of having an Amiga. So, but the 1000 was really expensive. And then later on, like I said, 1987, Commodore was able to cost reduce it, and they came out with the Amiga 500, which was still expensive, but it was much more cost reduced than the 1000, and it came into the price range for my dad and my mom. And my dad is a big tech nerd as well, so he wanted one too. So he brought me to the local Commodore store. It was called Software Link, and it was in White Plains, New York. And we saw the Amiga, and we were just like completely blown away. And that was like in the fall. So I was like, Dad, man, I want an Amiga so bad for Christmas. And he's like, all right, yeah, we're gonna get an Amiga for Christmas. And then I had this videotape that was like a promo for the Amiga. It was a VHS tape, and it had like these Amigas on like pedestals, and there was all smoke that was like backlit and cool colors, and like this guy saying like, oh, I'm the Commodore Amiga 500, and it had like this Superman thing where it had like it was expandable to like 1 megabyte of RAM, and the games just looked amazing, like Defender, the Crown, and all the graphics. and it was like the first computer for the creative types, first home computer for artists, in my opinion, like the best one. So I was just like blown away by the graphics and all the music. And then for Christmas, then Christmas came around, and sure enough, I was really lucky and I got one. I was loved playing the games. Then, as time went on, I got really more into the creative aspect of it. But one of the key things that happened when I got the Amiga is because we bought it at the store, Software Link. It was kind of like it was like a meeting point, man. There was like this incredible Commodore community that came to the store, and there was a user group that used to meet in the basement. They were called Amuse Westchester. They were part of a bigger user group in Manhattan called Amuse, and we had this branch called Amuse Westchester because Westchester is a suburb of New York City. It's about 45 minutes north of downtown Manhattan. So there was this user group, and they met in the basement every month, and it was just so cool to like get this Amiga computer and then meet every month with a bunch of other Amiga fanatics. And we used to trade ideas. We used to get demos, give demos, check out the latest games, the latest software, and I made some of like my best friends in the world in that club. And then a couple of years, not too long after, like less than a year later, the guys who were running it decided to stop. They were tired. They were coming up from the city, and they're like, we can't really do this anymore. And then so everyone's like, all right, I guess this club is kind of done. I was like, no way. Like I don't want it to die. I would love coming here every month. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy spending time with all you guys. I'm not Amiga expert, but I do something with the Amiga every month. So like worst case scenario, like I'll show you guys something. So I'm like, let's just meet next month and see what happens. So like we met next month, and it went great. Everyone showed up. We had an awesome time. And then I was like, you know what, like we can make a go of this. We can keep this club going. So I applied to Commodore to become an official Commodore user group. I wrote up bylaws and did all that, and we became an official Commodore user group. And that was in 1988, and we've been meeting on the first Thursday of every month ever since, to this day.
And that's
we
and
never
that's,
stopped, never will.
And that's how you met Iron Glenn, right?
We have some celebrity guests in our club, some celebrity members, and I see him right up there.
I'm telling you, I just literally yesterday upgraded my AI to Amiga OS 3.5.1. So suit's been multitasking great, been very stable, and my suit's never been better. Although there's a little war going on behind me right now, but my suit will let me know if there's a problem.
And Glenn's been after us, Doug and I, saying we don't know what we're missing with this Amiga, and that without the Amiga we wouldn't be where we're at today. Is that you're shaking your head, Doug? We're in for it. Glenn's got backup this week.
Yeah, please educate us poor souls.
Yeah.
Well, I can start with one thing. I was talking to you guys before the stream, and I learned that the piece of equipment that you're using to do the streams is called the TriCaster. Now, the TriCaster is made by a company called NewTek, and NewTek got their start with Amiga. So if you look behind me, this is an Amiga 2000, and inside that computer, there's something called a video toaster, and it was it's like the pinnacle of Amiga add-ons. Like it is like the one add-on that really defined Amiga. Like even today, like when you mention Amiga to someone, they're just kind of like, I'm not quite sure what Amiga is. Oh, do you mean the video toaster? So the video toaster is a video card that goes inside an Amiga. Can go into 2000 or 3000 or 4000, and it's a video switcher. So it's basically like a TriCaster. It's like, and it just like blew everyone's mind. It is the grandfather of the TriCaster, the grandfather of a lot of things. I'll never forget. We had a Westchester Amiga user group meeting back when it was still like an alpha in like December 1990, and we had a representative from NewTek come and give us a demo. And one of our members was an editor at ABC down in New York City, like ABC, the network ABC. And like when he saw the video toaster do what it could do, he was just blown away because he's like this box costs less than $10,000, and it can do like way more than our systems can, and they cost over $100,000. And he was like, jaws were on the floor, and it was just incredible. So the video toaster is one of the most important add-ons for the Amiga. And NewTek, again, the same company makes the toaster and the TriCaster. They got their start in Amiga by with something called DigiView, and it was a digitizer for the Amiga. So you would just hook up a video camera to it, and you could take digital still images through the video camera. And it was a really cool piece of gear. And their demos, they used to have like these NewTek demo reels, and the graphics and the sounds in those demo reels were just so inspiring. Like you just couldn't believe that all this was being done on a home computer. So yeah, so NewTek,
right.
man.
And if they've seen TV shows like Babylon 5, Sequest, and movies, those were done using Lightwave 3D, which again came from the video toaster and the Amiga. So this was doing stuff in the 90s that Apple and PCs could not touch. In fact, I think Amiga Bill will also say that Video Toaster did go to the Apple Macintosh through a cable to connect to an Amiga 2000 with a toaster in it. So it's been used in TV, broadcasting. So it's
But
a pinnacle in the industry he's in right now.
But
That's
you're-
kind of what Amiga Bill does now. He's in television and he's a cameraman.
you guys are saying it was like $10,000 for the toaster.
No,
Earlier.
$10,000 worth of equipment. It was only $1,500 for the toaster.
Oh, $1,500. So what we're doing right now, the TriCaster itself is, $25,000, $30,000 machine with a $10,000 controller. But that's the same type of stuff that you're seeing CNN and Fox use, what I'm using here.
Right.
But I know some other guys like P-Dubs, he uses a platform, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but if he's in here, he'll post it. But they're doing it in the cloud. So you're basically able to switch cameras, bring on multiple guests, not necessarily switch cameras, but keep them up.
Oh, StreamYard?
StreamYard, yes.
StreamYard.
So you're able to do, multiple boxes. And I know, Amiga Bill, you were asking us, off camera about that. So what you're telling us is Amiga started this whole video composition, whether it be online or in the cinema.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely started for like home use, because the Amiga is a home computer. Like I said, like my friend worked at ABC, and they had things that were similar. They had switching, switchers. NewTek didn't invent the video switcher, but it certainly like brought it to the home market and brought it at a price point that was amazing. The reason why is like the card itself, the actual like video toaster card was $1,500, but then you need other things too. If you were gonna hook up multiple cameras, you need what's called a time-based corrector to put them all in sync. You need the Amiga itself, you need the monitors. So that's why I just say, it's $10,000 or less, depending on how much you pimp out your toaster. And the toaster, a lot of people think the toaster is a video editing system, and that's a bit of a misconception. It's a video switcher. It's a live video switcher. It lets you do character generation. It lets you do 3D modeling and rendering in Lightwave 3D. It lets you do some like special video effects. So it's a video switcher. And then a little bit later on in the toaster's life cycle, they came out with an add-on for it called the Video Flyer, and that is what let you do like nonlinear video editing. But the toaster itself is just like a live video switcher, and of course you could like integrate that into an editing system, but it didn't do like A/B roll frame accurate editing on its own. It's just like live video switching. But it was so ahead of its time, and I never had one. I never had one until I believe it or not, I got this video toaster behind me like this year. So I always dreamed of having a video toaster. And I finally, many years later, I finally got my toaster.
I need to talk with you off camera about a product called Wirecast from a company called Telestream that you can run. I know Doug uses it and Glenn uses it. It's a way that you can bring in webcams and professional cameras and everything to do everything we're doing here and much more on a regular PC or Mac without the Amiga, without the video toaster. New technology.
Well, the big thing is that the Apple computer, even though they termed the word multimedia, the Apple Mac really wasn't suited for multimedia. It did desktop publishing. That was like its thing. The Amiga was the only computer that really defined and made real multimedia, being able to do sound, graphics, and intertwine them in a way that most people just didn't realize it existed. That was Commodore's fault. The Amiga computer should be here to this very day, and it's placed next to the Apple and the IBM. The Apple doing more, for the desktop publishing field. The Amiga would have been entrenched and was entrenched in the video production market, but also at NASA because of the way the machine's operating system worked. But the fault of Commodore, which we had David presence on the past, kind of went into that. That was the only reason why this computer did not make it to this day and advance like the other computers did. And it's just a sad thing. But thankfully, my suit now has the operating system, and it's working great.
I was looking here. I was going to write down a timestamp where Glenn was going to actually say something nice about the Apple computer. Doug, I was going to, put it up, and I was going to put it as a separate video, but then he had to go and do that.
He throws in the caveat, the little disclaimer that said, but it still sucks. That's all. That's Glenn.
So
always got to get that last knife on the back of the apple.
I don't think people realize though, I want to get to Amiga Bill, what you do for a living, because I think a lot of people will know some of the films that you have had a hand in. But I don't think you all realize that everybody on this panel has some form of video background. Glenn has some video background. Doug has video background. and of course now Amiga Bill. So you put 4 video guys together, and what happens is you get this. So we get to
This is
have
the
some fun.
culmination of 4 collective knowledge video production minds
Yeah.
coming together. This is the ultimate, Wonder Twins powers activate. This is what you get. You
So-
get Missile Command.
Form.
You get Glenn
Form
Stark.
of a Titan.
Even though you're in a war right now.
I am, but see, my suit's keeping me protected, so I'm good.
Cool as a cucumber.
Nanotech. Nanotech's the only way to go.
So, Bill, talk to us a little bit about Glenn mentioned, and you mentioned in a little bit behind the scenes, you made some films that you can see now on Disney as well as, Disney Plus. So why don't you kind of go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. The Amiga, because like I said, it was one of the first tools, home tools for video production, one of the first computers for the creative mind. I was always in the creative field. My dad teaches TV and radio production. So there was always a video camera around my house. Like since the beginning, I started out with like a 3/4 inch camera. It's shot onto 3/4 inch tape. We had Super 8 films and High 8 films, High 8 videos when that came out. So there was always like a video camera in my house. And so I ended up, using the Amiga to make videos like in high school. And I used the Amiga. I decided, I want to go to film school because that was my path. I love photography and I love video. So when it came time to apply for film school, I used the Amiga to create my portfolio that I had to submit to film school. I ended up going to NYU Film School, and now I'm a professional cinematographer. I'm a director of photography. The terms are kind of interchangeable. And yeah, I've had some really cool things come out this year. Right now, there's a show called Hamilton. It's on Disney Plus. It's a recording of a live performance of the show Hamilton. It was a big Broadway show here in New York City. And we did a shoot back in 2016 with the original cast, starring Lin-Manuel Miranda, who also created the show. And we before they left, before they went on to do other shows, we recorded that to keep it kind of as a document, as like a historical document. And now it came out on Disney Plus on 4th of July weekend. I wasn't the cinematographer on that. I was the camera operator. I was like one of the main camera operators on it. My mentor, Declan Quinn, was actually the main cinematographer on it. But so I was the camera operator in that, but I was director of photography on another show that came out in May on Netflix. It's called Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. And that is a documentary, all about the disgraced financier, Jeffrey Epstein, who, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard the story, but he was running a prostitution and pedophilia ring, and he was busted for it. And he was found dead in his jail cell last summer, and it was a pretty big news story here in the United States. So I did that one that's on Netflix right now as well. I also did the first season of a show on Netflix called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld. I did that a long time ago, but the show's still on, and that was a really cool experience as well. And then another thing I did on Netflix with again my mentor Declan Quinn. There's a show it's called My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman.
Wow.
That was a blast as well. So I've been really lucky. I've done so many cool jobs in my life. I do mostly documentaries and commercials. So I've done I've done launch videos for Apple products. I've done
so now your career
Trigger Glenn.
your career comes full circle now, because now you have the most prominent person you get to talk to, Mr. Iron Glenn. Now your career is 100% full circle.
Totally.
Tech genius.
Yeah.
Billionaire savior to the world. Absolutely.
Philanthropist. Got it all. Got it all. Got the babes. Got the machines. Got the suit. Got the hair.
Iron
Got it.
Lung.
It's an honor.
They're
an
calling
honor.
you Iron Lung.
You got some nice pectorals there.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah,
it going
no
on.
bat nipples though. Batman, I told him that was a bad choice, but those bat nipples on there. It was a mistake.
I see you got some nice asteroids going on behind you now. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh.
Yeah, they blew up the planet, so I'm in orbit now. But it's okay. I get a little force field around the hair, so I can still breathe.
Somebody in
I
the
think that's
chat
the most
room.
impressive part of your get up there is the hair.
Yeah.
I could use some.
He's doing good keeping himself centered behind it too. I'm pretty.
Hands
I'm
inside the
pretty
vehicle at all times.
But we got Linux Lover 84 in the chat says it, and I will occasionally keep your chats coming. We can pull it in, and I see some folks on Twitch. We'll get to that as well. I enjoy comedians with cars. They said
That was a really interesting show because I did a promo for one of Jerry's shows called The Marriage Ref, and it was a long time ago. And there was this point in filmmaking history when there was this little camera called the Canon 5D Mark II. It's a little DSLR camera, and
Yep.
it could shoot. But the thing is, like, not only could it do stills, but it could also shoot video. And it kind of reminds me of the Amiga in a way, and the video toaster, because it was this revolution in video production. You could have this small, inexpensive camera with a large sensor that could shoot images that were cinema quality images, in a small little camera. And it kind of became all the rage in commercial and TV production for a while. So I went out to Duluth, Minnesota with Jerry to shoot a promo for a show, The Marriage Ref, and we were shooting out on this frozen lake. It was crazy. It was like, I think it hit a high of like 7 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and like the low was like minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It was insane. So the whole premise of the spot is that they were ice fishing. They were ice fishing out in Minnesota, because it's a really big sport out there. So they were all dressed up like in their New York City gear. So they had like a suit on. He had like dress shoes and a tie and a suit, and they were like out on this lake doing the fishing, the ice fishing. And I'm there with this little DSLR camera shooting like this pretty big commercial for the show. And Jerry looks at me. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, are you on vacation with that camera? He's like, because usually we use like pretty big cameras, but now I'm out there like this little DSLR. And Jerry's like, are you on? It's like, are you on vacation with that camera? And he was like, we're joking around and having a good time. And then a couple years later, he came up with the idea for this Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and he called me up and he's just like, I remember doing that promo with you out in Minnesota, and you had the tiny camera, and I really like how you were able to, command using this small film equipment. I've got an idea for this show where I go like pick up one of my friends at a coffee shop, and then we drive to the coffee shop, and we shoot on the way, and then when we get to the coffee shop, we have a conversation there. But the key is like I want the artifice, I want all the filmmaking equipment to disappear. Like I want it to be extremely natural. So the guest and I can just have a natural conversation and just like forget about all the equipment. Well, I don't want to see the equipment. I just want to have like a natural conversation with them, and the equipment just disappears. So that was my goal. My job was to work with the director and figure out a way to make it completely seamless and shoot in real time to have a very, very natural show. So Jerry and his guests could just talk and not even realize they were being filmed. There's no like take 2 or take 3. It's just all done like in real time, and we had to capture it. So it was a challenge, especially like driving through the streets of New York City with like a chase vehicle and a follow vehicle and a lead vehicle and traffic, and and the places where we shot, like the coffee shops where we shot, they were live. Like we didn't shut them down. Normally, if we're shooting like a commercial or a show, like we would block off like a whole floor, block off the entire shop altogether. But this is like all we did was like reserve like the one table that they sit at, and meanwhile like all the other tables were like active with like regular patrons. So it was pretty challenging, and I couldn't.
And no one came over during the shoot, like just a person walking in.
Oh, they did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they were so much in shock. They were just like, what's going on here? Like, wait, is that Jerry Seinfeld? Is that Alec Baldwin? Like, what?
Guerrilla filmmaking at its finest. Yeah, I love it.
Totally. But it's the small cameras and the technology that allowed us to capture it.
But that's the
in
misnomer.
that manner.
That's the elephant in the room that most people don't realize. Like, going out to NAB, for a while in the beginning, companies, they were looking for the press that had the biggest camera, and they would pull you in. So I understand where Jerry's coming from, because how could a little camera give you the same type of quality that one of those little ones are? And those little ones make it a little bit more personable when you're doing these films. I told the same thing
to my date the other night. I mean, it's true, right? You just said it so yourself.
It's more intimate there. Does that make you feel better, Glenn?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, you got cameras all over that suit, so you would know.
Yeah, at all
this
times.
suit's got sensors everywhere. This thing, this is
Giggity.
I mean, it's Amiga Bill, so
Yeah.
It's true. And Amiga stands for girlfriend, so that's all I got to say about that.
It's true. Amiga is the Spanish word for friend, and amiga is the female ending for it. So, and they chose that on purpose.
So, are you working on any really, really cool projects right now that you can kind of talk about, or
I wish I could. I had something that I could not talk about or talk about, but unfortunately, right now with the pandemic and COVID-19, our entire industry has been shut down since March 12th. Essentially, I was about to do a commercial for a major tech company on the 12th. And at 4:30 in the morning, I get a text from the producer, and he was like, "Unfortunately, the shoot is off because the building is closed down that we're supposed to shoot in." And we haven't worked since. It is the business is starting to open up slowly, thankfully, but it's a trickle right now. It's an absolute trickle because there's a lot of challenges. Everyone wants to make sure when we go back to work we can do it safely, and our industry by its nature is not an industry where you can socially distance. We work very closely together. We're all teams, and like when I'm on the camera, there's a camera assistant next to me helping, and we all, we're all like close to each other. So there's a lot of things that people are trying to figure out to make it safe for us to go back to work, and it's happening, and I can't wait. I can't wait to go back to work. There's a few things floating around, but it's just it's a scary time, and everyone wants to take all the right precautions and do the right thing so everyone's safe when we can go back to work. So it's been a pretty long and scary drought since March for everyone in the entertainment business. And the same thing like with Broadway. I know a lot of my friends in Broadway, they're not even thinking about going back until 2021. So
well, you could always do Glenn's life story. I mean, I'm sure you're right there in New York.
Scott actually put in here Retro Buzz the movie. I like that. We could do that.
Yeah, you could do Retro Buzz the movie. Somebody
you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll kiss $5 goodbye.
Yeah, if you're Zoltar.
That's a Hardware Wars reference there.
Yeah.
Like, how you're very good. Yes, that's right.
So if you guys,
but the good thing is the time off has let me work on my hobby Amiga. So I've been able to make some YouTube videos and do weekly Twitch streams for Amiga. So I've been keeping myself busy creatively, even though it's not with my real job, but it's an offshoot of the real job. So that's been cool.
So Michael and Glenn,
Yes.
Glenn, you and Amiga Bill, Michael has a question for you guys. I'm going to kind of throw it up there so you guys can answer it since you're the Amiga experts.
Well, the price is all over the map. I definitely say my first forte with the Amiga was like Amiga Bill's with the 500. And I think I paid $600 for that. And I spent another $200 for a 1084S monitor. I think I spent another $80 for the 512 memory expansion at that time. Then I bought two 2000s. I bought a 1200. I bought so many things I can't even tell you. But Amiga Bill is probably the more expert on like the 1000. You said was what, 12? Was it 12 or 1500 when it first came out?
Somewhere around there. I was 10 years old, so I didn't really quite have a concept of money yet.
My son's 15. He still doesn't.
Yeah. I don't know all the exact prices when it was released, but I do know what they did was, because there was a company called High Toro that actually, like, the Amiga wasn't a Commodore product at the beginning. There was a company called High Toro, and two of the key people involved in it. One was Jay Miner, who started at Atari. He did some of the design work on the Atari 2600 VCS as well as the Atari 8-bit computers. He started this company called High Toro. Another gentleman named Joe DeCure was also with him, and they designed them, and then other people designed the original Amiga, the Amiga 1000. And then Commodore ended up buying the Amiga 1000 from High Toro. And once they bought it, one of the cool things that Commodore did is they figured out how to cost reduce it. So they came out with the Amiga 500 and the Amiga 2000, which was kind of like a cost reduced version of the 1000 with some upgrades, but they could get it down to a much better price point.
And actually, you did meet Jay Miner, and Jay Miner was actually, like I said, at Atari. He developed the chipsets in the 8-bit computer line, and he developed the chipsets in the Amiga. But you actually met the guy before he unfortunately passed away.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I got so lucky to meet Jay Miner. The scenario is, so they used to have Amiga conventions. They had they had Commodore conventions, World of Commodore, which was like all Commodore products, and then they had AMI Expo. Yeah, on the Intrepid, right down on the.
I was there, man. We probably walked past each other, didn't even know it.
I'm sure we did. And there's another one called AMI Expo, which was an Amiga Expo. And back in 1990, there was one in Washington, D.C. And my dad's like, yo, let's go down to the AMI Expo, Washington, D.C. Because we'd never been down to Washington, D.C. My dad is a big train buff. So he wanted to check out the subway system in Washington, D.C. because it's a really cool looking train system. And I was starting to think about colleges at the time. So like, let's go look at, like Georgetown and American. So just to start feeling it out, seeing where I might want to go to college. So we went down to AMI Expo, and it was at the Sheraton in Washington, D.C. And it was just awesome, man. It was like a trade show just for Amiga stuff. And there were so many amazing people there. And Jay Miner was a keynote speaker. And he was just kind of like hanging out. He was like hanging out. He was such a really nice guy, really personal guy. And he loved the Amiga community. And I just like started talking to him, and he was just he was blown away that this like 15-year-old kid was running an Amiga user group. So he was very intrigued by it, and he wanted to hear more about it. So I ended up having like a nice like 20-minute conversation with him about the user group and like the Amiga community, and how how many amazing like cool creative people there are in the club and in the community. And we had a great time talking, and it was definitely one of the highlights. And my dad took a picture of us together with his Pentax Spotmatic F 35mm camera. And that's yeah, people know me for that picture too, because a picture of me with my Ami Expo shirt shaking Jay Miner's hand. It was awesome. I had so much fun. He was such a good guy, such a really like genuinely nice and intelligent person.
So I
I
don't
have to
want,
say something too. He said he was 15 when he started. Yeah, when he took over the Amiga group. People come from all over to go to his groups. What's the furthest people have traveled to come to one of your groups?
Oh, that's a really good question. The furthest someone has come, I think Montreal. I'm thinking Montreal could be the furthest. Who else? I'm gonna say Montreal for now, but we have got a pretty Montreal. Who else has come? I know we've had some like European folks, but they kind of take residence mostly here in the United States now. But I think Montreal might be the furthest. Pretty sure. That's a really good question.
That's
Montreal is the
that's
first one that comes to my head. But we have Montreal, we have Florida. Has anyone from California come?
It's just amazing
Maybe.
that people come
Yeah.
because they know you. You're very personable, and they drive, they fly, do whatever they have to do to come to one of your meetings.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, for
yeah.
me, it's easy. For me, it's easy. We're what, a half hour or so apart. It's not a big deal. But
Yeah.
these other guys travel.
Yeah, even like for our regular monthly meetings, we have folks come from New Jersey, and it sounds close, but it's really not, man. It's like a solid. They come from. It takes them like a solid like hour, and some an hour and a half,
Right.
because they'll
And
take
they got to
public
hold their breath the
transportation
whole
here.
time.
Yeah.
They can hold their breath the entire time they travel.
Yeah, exactly. And so they get here, and and then they have to go back home, and then we meet on Thursday night, so then they have to work the next day. So I really appreciate and respect their dedication. Of course, now with the pandemic, we haven't been able to meet in person, which has been sad. But fortunately, one of our members, Bill Lang, he's got a really cool video conference set up, and he helps us host virtual meetings. So we've been able to meet virtually every month. So even though we haven't been able to meet in person, we've been able to meet virtually, which is super cool. And so the streak continues. We're still meeting since 1988. But the thing is, like, it's amazing. Like, I love the internet, and I love how it brings people together. And I've met people from around the world now. I've met like really close friends from around the world, thanks to the internet, and the YouTube channel and the Twitch streams and Facebook and social media. But there's nothing like getting together in person. It's like it's something that happens less and less these days, especially. Well, I'm not counting pandemic, but even people don't get together as much in person anymore. So I really, to me, it's really important to be able to like get together in person with your friends. See the real machines, turn the real machines on, fire them up, play some games, connect them with the null modem cable, have a great old time, drink some beers together. It's just really awesome to actually like get together and like meet in person.
meeting
It's,
in
it's
person
very valuable.
got us to this point. Just saying.
Yep.
No, I'm being funny.
Very true.
Unless you have a suit
So you
like
mentioned-
this guy here, then
So Bill,
Yeah,
you
it's back then it was the user group. I mean, of course, back then we didn't have the internet, so the user group was like the way to connect with other people in the community, and that's how you saw the new demos. Like, you couldn't buy everything that came out, obviously, so we would have it demoed at the user group meeting, and Bob, the guy who owned the store, if he had a cool new product, he would like let us take it out of the box and fire it up and do a demo of it. So that was like the best way to learn about Amiga and to connect with other people. Now with the internet, obviously, it's much easier to get information, and but still, the internet like brings people together and also separates people and keeps them a little bit isolated as well. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. So that's why it's really cool to make sure you get together every now and then and have some beers together and fire up the real machines. Another cool event that I do with my buddy Anthony is Vintage Computer Festival East. It's a really great festival that happens in New Jersey, in Wall Township, New Jersey. And people do all kinds of really cool retro computer projects, and they demonstrate them there. And it's a great place for people to come together and nerd out on the retro stuff. Lots of really cool projects and really great people come through that festival.
My two co-hosts, the retro is NES. So
Hey, I started
NES
out with
I
an
did not
Atari
retro.
2600. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I
You said
started with
NES
the
and 2600.
yeah, I
Yeah,
started with the
2600 was my first.
2600. Yeah.
See, so it's got Amiga. It's got Amiga DNA in it because Jay Miner, designed some of the
That's
chips for the
right.
2600. Yeah,
That's right.
We're not old as
and I
dirt
love
like Glenn. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, more aged
enjoy your
clay.
youth.
Yeah. Yep. I already told him. Say, look at Doug. Look at Doug now. Look at him now. And then a couple years of working and a kid. Boom. Here you're gonna be. Right here.
That's why I keep avoiding the kid thing. I think that's the crux that breaks a man.
Hey, I got 2 kids.
Are they 15 yet?
No, one's
Yeah, you're on your way.
One's 11 and one's 7. So
You're on your way.
I'll get there.
Dad, I need $25 for Fortnite. Dad, I need $50 for Fortnite. I got this cool dance it's got to do. Dad, there's 60 bucks
Oh,
for
whoa,
Fortnite.
whoa, wait.
Fortnite.
Can I tell a quick story real quick about that? Because you guys needle me about that, right? So my daughter and my son come to me last week, and they said, "Hey, can we get this Roblox or something? It was on sale. It was 50% off of this stuff, right?" So I'm like,
Yep.
"How much is it going to cost me?" They said $10 each. I'm like, "Okay." But Dad, we're getting like $25 worth of stuff. I'm like, "Okay, what does it do?" Well, it gets us
Marketing.
items. It gets us items that we can trade away for better items. I'm like, "Okay, so I'm going to buy you items that you're going to trade away." And my daughter rats on my son and goes, "Yeah, he always trades away for garbage." I was like, "No, wait, it gets better." So then my daughter comes to me last night and she goes, "If I log out of my Roblox, I don't know what the password is."
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, what do you want me to do about it? And she goes, "Well, you set it up for me." I said, "No, I didn't, because if it did, it would have the parent's email address in here, which it doesn't. So you signed up for yourself with it." So now I've been going back and forth with Roblox, trying to give them receipts and stuff and show them so they can reset the password. So if she logs out by accident, she doesn't lose all the money that I spent, because you can't transfer it to another account.
Lessons being learned on both sides of this.
I didn't know nothing. I know nothing about this Roblox thing. I mean, I should have went to Glenn. Glenn's kid probably plays that.
He does. He does. It's very similar to Minecraft. Except you can actually make money from Roblox, believe it or not.
Really?
You can make like a world or an environment, and you can sell it, and people will buy it. So people actually make a lot. Some kid made like $1 million in Roblox. So we're missing the boat.
Why aren't we
I
playing
don't need the
this
money.
game?
'Cause I'm already rich. You guys do.
Stevie, you need to tell your kids they need to be, trading better.
I
They
know,
need to do
right?
some, upward trajectory as far as their scams,
Sorry, I just
The only thing I know about Roblox is that it was on the screen when Dr. disrespected his last stream. I never heard of it, and I was like,
Oh,
"What is
really?
this weird thing Dr. D's playing?" And they're like, "Oh, it's just Roblox." I'm like, "Okay." That's the first time I saw
I
it.
had a fan house caused a roadblock just down the road.
Well, I heard, Glenn, that you were playing it with your son last week, were you not?
I just got Minecraft and Roblox is like a mind-numbing thing. Fortnite, at least I can hide in the corner and disappear. But in these other games, he's like, "Oh, Dad, you got to do this." I just don't have it in me. I need one
Not
button,
too much
a
work.
joystick, and one button. That's it. The Amiga had one joystick and a button. That's it. That's all you need. Nothing more.
You gotta get him onto some Populous and some Powermonger on the Amiga, Glenn.
Oh, he's already on a Powermonger trip. I mean, he's 15.
I love Powermonger. No. Such a good game. There's so many good of those like strategy games on the Amiga. It's so much fun.
So I
So,
posted.
Bill, what were your
go
favorite
ahead.
games you were playing originally on the Amiga when you first got it on that
Oh,
Christmas?
good question. I was playing a lot of Marble Madness.
Yes.
The cool thing about Amiga-
Marble Madness!
Yeah, I love Marble Madness. And one of the cool things about the Amiga, one of the things that made it really special is, of course, like we were always striving to get arcade quality games at home, and the Amiga like really knocked it out of the park. There were a few games that were just almost like arcade perfect, or at least the closest to arcade you could get at home. And one of those was Marble Madness. Another one was Arkanoid. Great ports of Marble Madness and Arkanoid. Those are some of the original ones that I was playing. Another one called Defender of the Crown, which is by a company called Cinemaware, and had just amazing pixel art. It was beautiful, kind of like a strategy action game. So I was playing those three a lot, and there's some real classics for the Amiga. One is called Another World, also called Out of This World here in the United States, and it was just it is like a beautiful cinematic game. It was Eric Chahai, the person who created it, he wanted to create like a game that had a real cinematic experience, and he did lots of work with rotoscoping, and he had a very like the environment in it was like the audio environment was just like it just sucked you right in, and it was such a cool game that I really enjoyed that one. That's one of my favorites as well. And of course, like Lemmings, Lemmings is one of the all-time classics on the Amiga. It's great.
Let's
Great.
go.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But like the first games, the early games on the Amiga 500, I guess I would go like Marble Madness and Arkanoid. I was playing those a lot.
You
And
didn't do
Defender of the Crown.
F-18 Interceptor?
Oh, it's great. I love F-18 and F-16 Falcon. I loved them.
Yeah, good game.
We used to at our WOG meetings, we used to take two Amigas and connect them with a null modem cable, and we would do head-to-head dogfights in Falcon. It was amazing. It was so cool. We used to
A
take
null
the
modem
500s.
cable, baby. That's just
Yeah.
that's real old
Yeah.
school.
It's really cool. So yeah, the null modem cable lets you connect two computers together. In this case, we used two Amigas, obviously, and there were a lot of games that supported it. So you could do like head-to-head dogfighting in Falcon. Actually, at the last party I had last year, we did a game called Lotus 2. It's a racing game, and you can actually do 4
Yeah, I know.
people with that one.
You kicked my butt in it. I remember.
Yeah.
Seems to be the trend.
It was just so cool to be able to like get together with people, and play head to head, and without being a split screen. Because playing split screen is cool, but being able to use 2 separate computers and 2 separate monitors was just awesome. We used to put them like back to back, and it was so cool. Like when 2 people were dogfighting, like you could see them like leaning in the chair and like getting really into it, and it was a blast, man. Nothing like those old null modem cable games. It's really cool.
Actually, the PS1 when it first was released, you could buy 2 PlayStations, and I think Ridge Racer with a cable. You would have 2 separate PlayStations, 2 different screens, and race them. So it came up until the 90s anyway. Before the internet came around and kind of changed it a little bit. But
Sure. Yeah, I know the internet's so cool how we can. I play games with my friends from all over the world, literally. But there's nothing like which is so cool. But there's nothing like being in the same room playing with each other. And there's actually a really cool feature called a really cool, I'll call it feature/service called Amiga Live. My friend John created it, and there's an emulator on the Amiga called FSUAE, and it's got a feature called NetPlay. So he utilizes the feature of NetPlay, and he's put servers all over the world. So he's got servers in like the Northeast, he's got servers in Europe, and what you do is you connect to these servers, and then you can play online multiplayer Amiga games. It's not like a null modem cable. It simulates 2 people at one Amiga. So like if you were playing like a racing game like Lotus, you would have the split screen, but it's amazing to play 2-player online multiplayer Amiga games with a buddy from around the world. It's incredible. It's really incredible. I never imagined that. Like back in 1987, I never imagined there would be this thing called the internet, and I'd be able to play Amiga games with people from the other side of the planet.
And that's actually where like the Atari ST and the Amiga really took a foothold. More so was overseas than over here.
Yeah. And the Amiga 500 was the most popular model, especially for games. Like most of the classic Amiga games are on the Amiga 500, even though there were more advanced Amigas that came out, like the Amiga 1200 and the Amiga 4000. They had some really good games that used the AGA chipset, which was the more advanced one. But the real classic Amiga games, they all work on the Amiga 500. And and it was more popular in Europe. And I remember we used to try and keep tabs on Europe at the user group meetings. We would meet at the store, like I said, and they used to have these European magazines, and that was our connection to Europe back then, because it was really hard to communicate with the folks over there, obviously with no internet. Oh yeah, Caligari was really cool. So I'm starting to look at some of the chat. Normally I'm so used to streaming and I'm looking at the chat and interacting with everyone.
I'm just pulling it up.
I'm like, I know people are trying to chat and I don't see the chat. I'm like, oh man, sorry guys.
I'm just pulling it up. So there's some conversations going on in there that we're just not going to bring up, and then there's actually people that are participating. So if you see ones from me come up, I'm just grabbing feeds from Twitch, because there's some people on Twitch that I don't have the integration with the software. So feel free. I'm just putting them up if you want to address them as they come up.
I should. You know what I should? I feel I should have had the Twitch chat up. I don't think I can archive it. I don't think I can see the back archive. Let's see if I can pull it up. But yeah, so Twitch is like my platform that I live stream on. Not my platform. It's the one so maybe some of my viewers from Twitch are coming over. That's the other thing that's so amazing, is even though the Amiga was like a great computer and I love it so much, the real cool thing about Amiga is the Amiga community, and that's the most important part, because that's why I had the user group. That's why we used to come together every month. Like we loved the computer, but it was just more about getting together with your friends And now with the internet, and now with all the Twitch streams and the YouTube videos, like I literally met people from all over the world, and they're so cool and they're so nice. And I've met and I've become friends with them outside of Amiga as well. And it's so cool. Like when I do the Twitch streams every Sunday, there's like this core group of people that come every week, and we have so much fun, and they've become really, really, really great friends. So the Amiga's awesome. I love the Amiga, but all the Amiga users are what I like even more. It's just got an awesome community with it.
Very
Awesome.
nice.
Well, that's the cool thing about retro in general. I mean, everyone has a machine that they like. I mean, we also know people who love the Atari STs. It's just a people that really bond with something. You know, it's like a sports team or an Iron Man suit, like I got here. There's something that people have nostalgia for, and they don't usually think. At least back then, I mean, I knew a couple people at the Amiga locally, and we're pretty tight. But you don't realize how many other people out there have the same passion for whatever it is, whether it's an Amiga, whether it's an Atari, or in a car, whatever. And it's just good to meet up with similar people who really take an interest in something that you take an interest in. And with the internet now, it's blown up on both sides. You have your fanboys and you have your Apple guys. You know, there's just two sides of the coin.
Yeah, I mean the thing now is I was never into the whole like Amiga versus Atari ST thing. I was an Amiga guy. I went to the WUG meetings and we had a great time. I didn't know any Atari guys, and it's cool. Like I just didn't really bother with them. I mean, but I love Atari because my first computer was an Atari 800, and I love the 2600. I love the 800, and of course, like it's hard not to like Atari when like the dude who invented the Amiga started at Atari and did some really cool stuff for Atari.
A lot
So
of
it's
great
just
guys
like
were at Atari. A lot of great guys were at Atari.
yeah, and then, like the most important thing is just preserving the history of all these retro machines. So like I never, for example, I've got like zero nostalgia for Texas Instruments, but you know what? If someone's like super into a Texas, if someone's super into a Texas Instruments, then I didn't have one.
My
So
hair
it's like
came off. Look,
Bill-
it just shocked me so much. My hair came off my
Bill,
head.
Bill, you better start backpedaling really quick, or he's going to go into one of his rants. You better hurry
Oh
up.
no! Well, my point is like it's important to preserve all the history. You know what I mean, regardless of the
Right.
platform, because
Yeah.
each machine has got its own unique characters, and you know it's really important to like know where we came from. You know, so that's why like I love the video toaster and in my business because it's super important just to support to support it all because you don't want any of it to disappear. You don't want to lose the history.
Right, and that's my last question. I'm going to ask. I'll leave the other guys to ask some questions here because I do tend to monopolize the conversations. Is what you just said right there, and I brought it up a couple times before. These machines, we do the best we can to keep them, but certain machines like the Amiga have custom chipsets. There's custom chips in there that we're going to run out of. They fail. The CIA chips blow. Looking at them, they explode. So eventually, these machines are just not going to work no matter what we do. Well, how do you feel about that? And what do you think? Do you think people making new chips? What's the word? I can't even think of the word I'm looking for right now. Oh my God, Gatorade chips. The ones
You mean
can program.
FPGAs?
Thank you, FPGAs. I mean, do you think that's the salvation for these older machines to replace chips, or do you think Mister is more going to be the salvation? Because eventually, these machines, no matter what we do, they are going to fail.
You're 1,000% right, Julian. Like these machines are going to fail. There's nothing you can do about it. They're already failing. There's already a lot fewer of them. There's a lot of problems where battery leakage. If you don't pull the batteries out, the battery's going to leak and damage the computer. The capacitors start to leak, and eventually, like this stuff is old, man. It's gonna fail. So like, how do you preserve it? I mean, you try and preserve the original hardware as much as possible, but I think there's two ways to preserve it. One is through like FPGA implementation. So getting like a little Amiga like on a board would be one way to preserve it. That's hardware emulation, FPGA like hardware emulation, and then the other way is through software emulation. So you can get like the fastest Amiga I own is actually a Raspberry Pi. So it's really cool that they have all these great emulators that can work on Raspberry Pis or work on your PC. The PC is super fast, obviously, but you can take a little Raspberry Pi, put it in a cool case, and all of a sudden you've got like a little mini Amiga, which is rad. And then what I really hope starts happening too is that they use FPGA to recreate the custom chips. That hasn't really happened yet. They take the whole computer and put it on one FPGA chip. But like, let's say the Amiga's got custom chips. So there's like chips that handle the sound, chips that handle the graphics. So let's say your Paula chip dies, the one that does the sound. You could pop in a new FPGA chip that replaces the Paula chip. So that's
what I want to see happen. That's what I want to see happen.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen. The other thing I would love to see is, there's a lot of accelerators for the Amiga as well, and there's like new accelerators coming out, but they still use like the old processors. Like they either use like the 030 processor or the 060 processor, and like especially like the 060 processor, it's really rare and really hard to get and really expensive. So I would,
Very
yeah,
expensive.
I would love to see a solution where someone could make, like pop an FPGA board or pop a Raspberry Pi, into the expansion slot on your 1200, and all of a sudden you've got like an 06, and you've got an 060 in there. That'd be super cool. And I think it's possible, and people are working on it. Because imagine just popping a Raspberry Pi into that expansion slot, and all of a sudden, boom, you got an 060 in your 1200. That'd be really, really sweet, or more, or faster. Then there's other things. There's other solutions too, like the Vampire. The Vampire is a device that it can either connect to a real Amiga, and what it does is it basically takes over the Amiga, and the Amiga, it uses like the Amiga's keyboard and I/O devices, but it's called the Vampire for a reason, right? Because it kind of takes over. So you can put a Vampire inside of a real Amiga, and it is a really, really fast accelerator. And now they have a standalone Vampire, which is a standalone device. It's almost like the same thing. It's like an Amiga. It's like a new Amiga, like an FPGA Amiga. So that works too. So we got like Vampire, we got Mister. The Mister is another FPGA board that can emulate, well, you can load different cores onto the Mister. I've got a Mister. Oh, I don't have it over here, but I got a Mister, and I absolutely love it. But the way it is currently right now, the fastest the Mister will go is like an 020. It's basically like an Amiga 1200, and you can put a lot of RAM on it. So it won't go as fast as like an Amiga 4000. But the Amiga core for it is awesome, and they say that the Mister is like the most accurate way to re-implement the Amiga. I know there are like pro gamers who can play like Sensible World of Soccer, and it's a video toaster pin. It says video toaster revolution. But there are guys like pro gamers, and they said like if you put them at a Mister and you put them at a real Amiga, they can't tell the difference. But if you put them at a real Amiga and you put them at an emulator like a Amiibian or like a Raspberry Pi, they can tell the difference. I can't tell the difference, but apparently they can. So the Mister is like the most accurate, even though it may not be the fastest. But it's fast enough, man. Like you got a Mister, you can play pretty much all the Amiga games you want to play.
I know,
But
Doug.
yeah, I think all that stuff is the future. Emulation and FPGA.
Doug, you were going to ask a few questions before we have to wrap this up here. If you still have those.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Bill, you were talking about the managing the historical significance of Amiga, and I was just going to ask, what would you say key takeaways that historically you want people to remember Amiga as a whole? What would the for as morbid as it sounds, what would the tombstone bullet points of the Amiga be to you?
The first home computer for the creative mind, the best multimedia home computer. It just put home graphics and home video on the map, and it did music and sound as well too. A lot of people forget that. People automatically think of the Atari ST for music because it came with MIDI built into it, but the Amiga could also do MIDI. You just had to buy the extra MIDI adapter. But the Amiga was like the ultimate home multimedia computer. It was great for games, but it was the best home computer for artists, where you're doing video or photos. I was thinking before, like, when the Amiga came out, when the Amiga 1000 came out, it could do 4096 colors on the screen at one time, and that's like photorealistic imagery. Well, the Mac was black and white. It was just like, whoa, like this is incredible. Like it looks
Really
like a picture
edge,
like on your monitor. Yeah, it was incredible. And like PCs had EGA, at that time, I think.
And it was
EGA.
cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, cheaper than the Mac for sure. But yeah, it was someone asked about the pin. This is a video toaster. It says video revolution. So the Amiga really was a machine that started a home video revolution. I kind of like when Final Cut Pro came out. I feel like there was a few big turning points in video history. One of them is when the toaster came out, and the other one is like when Final Cut Pro came out, because Final Cut Pro brought nonlinear video editing to the masses. Man, you could edit at home, on your laptop. Before, with the nonlinear editing systems, you need like something a little bit bigger, like a Media 100 or an Avid. But but Final Cut Pro brought it to the masses, kind of like Amiga and Video Toaster brought video switching and video production to the masses.
Doug loves Avid.
Oh yeah, Comatron says without Amiga I wouldn't do music. Dude, Comatron, he did one of the theme songs to my streams. He's awesome. And that's the other thing too. Amiga like really started a lot of people in their careers. Like Comatron says, he wouldn't do music without Amiga. And I know there are lots of professional musicians who started with Amiga as well. Tons of people in my business, in the film and TV business, we started with Amiga because we were all kids making our home videos with Amiga. I was making my high school video yearbooks with my Amiga 2000 and my Genlock, doing all kinds of cool titles with it. I had a chroma key. I had a chroma key for the Amiga back then. That's unbelievable. And now, this is like 1990. It was amazing. It was just it was a computer that was far ahead of its time. And so it's also very frustrating because a lot of people are really disappointed. Like, man, if all those people who created something so revolutionary, like, were still around today and Amiga's still around today, like, where could we be? So
Right.
that's
Exactly.
it's also a tragedy. It's a tragic story. But who knows? I mean, the things that I see happening today is just completely blow my mind. Things with Unreal Engine and the just, I see the amount of incredible things that are happening in visual effects and filmmaking and photography and cinematography. It's just really blowing my mind. So that there are amazing things happening. I have no idea where it would be if the Amiga folks were still around. But I can
And there was a good
barely
documentary made
imagine.
by one of your friends, the Viva Amiga.
There's a couple of great documentaries. It's actually playing on the monitor right behind me.
I know. I was looking at it.
Yeah, this is Viva Amiga. It was like one of the first. It was the first Amiga documentary to come out. Zach Weddington is the director. He started making it back in like 2004, like before even like retro and YouTube was really that popular. He was pretty much ahead of the curve, and it's a great film. It talks about it focuses more on like the people involved in Amiga versus like documenting every bit of Amiga history. But it's got some really, really great scenes. I know RJ Michael was on your show, and there's an amazing scene with RJ Michael where he talks about the launch of the Amiga. And the launch of Amiga was a big deal. They hired like Andy Warhol and Deborah Harry to give this presentation at Lincoln Center in New York City. And Andy Warhol's talking about how like unstable it was at the time, and they were just like praying for it not to crash in front of like the entire world. So there's some like really, really cool scenes in Viva Amiga documentary. I love it. And now there's a lot of really great documentaries and YouTube videos, whatnot that have been produced since. But Viva Amiga kind of kicked it all off first. And now I'm actually working with Zach on a new film called Arcade Dreams, and it's about the history of arcades, but not just like video game arcades, like not just like Pac-Man and Asteroids. Like it starts way, way back, like with early mechanical arcade machines, like World War II era machines. Then it goes to pinball. So it goes, mechanical arcade machines, pinball, and then of course it does touch on the 80s and the classic video game arcade machines, and then talks about some virtual reality too as well. Yeah.
Well, Bill, what we're going to do, we're going to wrap this up here just in a few minutes, but we want to say this. If you could stick around for a little bit, we usually kind of do a post show. You've watched the show before, we kind of let loose afterwards. So guys that are fans of Amiga Bill, we're going to put up a phone number after we go off air for the recording that you guys can call in, ask questions. Maybe you got a question for Glenn, like how he got that suit. You can feel free to ask that question. But
hair product he uses.
What hair products he's using to keep it so still. Yeah, I like that one. So Bill, we're going to let you plug whatever you got to plug, whatever you want to plug, your shows that are coming up, for the audience that find what you talked about was really interesting and fascinating. So how can they watch what you're doing?
Oh, that's a great question. So my two main platforms are Twitch and YouTube. I stream Amiga stuff on Twitch every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's 6 p.m. Universal time. It's twitch.tv/Amiga Bill. That's one of the things I do. I also do a YouTube channel with my buddy Anthony from Westchester Amiga User Group, and that's youtube.com/The Guru Meditation. We named our channel after the infamous error message you get when the Amiga crashes because Anthony and I, we usually crash and burn ourselves. So like we might call ourselves the Guru Meditation because we're always messing up anyway. So youtube.com/The Guru Meditation, twitch.tv/Amiga Bill. And then I'm also on social media. So if you go to facebook.com/The Guru Meditation, you can go to, I'm on Twitter. I'm at The Guru Meditate on Twitter. And my professional website where I post my cinematography portfolio is billwinters.net. I also have an Instagram. On Instagram, I am Bill Winters Cine, BILLWINTERS, then CINE for cinematographer. And that's it, man. That's where you can keep up with me. And I try and do the streams, every week, every Sunday. I try to keep up with that. I've been doing well during COVID because not much else to do.
Awesome.
I'd love to expand and do like maybe 2 streams a week. We'll see how that goes, but it's a tough balancing act. And also, if you want to join Westchester Amiga User Group, we do meet on the first Thursday of every month, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in person again soon. you can just give me a direct message or a private message on any of those social media platforms, and I'll put you on our Westchester Amiga user mailing list, and you're welcome to come to the meetings. And they're a great time. And we have special meetings throughout the year at either like my house or my dad's classroom. And we have the monthly meetings and the special meetings. So
Those are awesome. Your mom and
yeah,
dad are fantastic. They're
thank you.
fantastic. Now I know where you
Yeah,
came from because they're very
yeah.
good people.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. It's amazing. Those parties are a lot of fun. And my mom gets all bummed out because like the basement hasn't really changed since they built the house in like 1968. But it's like a time capsule, and it's like the perfect place to have a retro party because it's got like the faux wood paneling in the basement. It's got all like the original lamps and everything. And my dad's like, we're never changing it because this is awesome. And mom's
Sounds like my
oh my
basement.
God, like we're living in the past. It's like, and she's all embarrassed, especially like when I do a stream and I show the basement. She's like, oh my God, you should be in the basement.
Well, Bill, we really appreciate it. And as much as we give Glenn a hard time, Glenn, we really appreciate you getting him on here. This was truly something that was pretty special here.
I had my glove.
Even though he's he's in his Iron Man. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Planamento never ceases to disappoint. Always something new. Always something. Glenn, what's new on your channel? I know you've been posting a lot of videos lately. What can people check out?
Actually, I haven't. I have a couple of videos in the works. I have my 3D printed Coleco mini kit I've been working on. My Dreamcast. I have my retro writing project still going on. But actually, right now, this weekend, we didn't talk about this weekend. There's a lot of leaderboard stuff, but I got to defend my Asteroid Deluxe leaderboard score there. So got to bang that up. Missile Command, Tempest. People, if you have an At Games Ultimate Legends, they have good leaderboard games going on this weekend, and that's my plan for the most part of this weekend. And actually, just making sure my hair stays styled. And ladies,
Actually,
it's real. It's real, ladies. Real hair.
Speaking of this weekend, there's actually a really important Amiga event happening tomorrow. It's called Amigathon, and it's really cool. There's these guys called the Amigos who have a great YouTube channel and a great Twitch channel as well. And they every year they do Amigathon, and it's a fundraiser. It's a charity event for Extra Life. It's for kids who are really, really sick, and they raise thousands of dollars to help these kids in the hospital. And it's an awesome event. You can go to amigathon.com. And tomorrow on their channel is going to be streaming all day on Amigos Retro channel. It's Amigos Retro on Twitch. And then throughout the day, they're going to raid another YouTuber streamer called the Retro Man Cave. So he's going to do some stuff, and then they're going to go back to Amigos, and then the Amigos are going to raid me at my time at 2 p.m. and I'm going to be playing some games, and we're going to try and raise as much money for the kids as possible. So
awesome.
If you check out Amigathon, Amigathon is happening on Twitch tomorrow. I'll be hosting it. If you're not sure how to get there, I'll be hosting it on twitch.tv/AmigaBill all day. So it's going to be, it's a great event for a great cause. And I mean, how amazing is that? Like the retro community coming together. I've seen lots of these fundraisers, happen before, and, using the retro hobby to actually help people in real life who really need it. So that's, I mean, how cool is that? It's amazing.
Awesome.
And Retro Man Cave, if you haven't seen this stuff, he's got a great channel too. Definitely check out Retro Man Cave.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Awesome channel.
Glenn, you'll have to look for him or get him on the show in an upcoming episode, maybe, huh?
Well, I've been stalking him. I was actually honored. I've been stalking him, but I talked to him once because my he modified his Atari Lynx with the mod for the new screen, the McWill screen, and he actually used my video to do his machine. He actually posted my link in there. So
nice.
I talked to him once, and he's been avoiding me for the past year and a half now.
Also, Mr. Doug Smith, what do you got in the works? I know you've been doing you got a lot of toy videos out as of late.
Yeah, I'm not too ashamed to admit that I may have spent like $250 today on toys. So it's the convention season, and since the conventions are all closed, everyone's selling their toys online. So yeah, I'll have a lot of toy videos coming up in the next couple of weeks for sure, because
some cool toys.
Yeah, they better be. See how the mail handles it. We'll see.
Awesome, guys, and make sure.
That's awesome, Douglas. I love toys too, man. I got some. These are like vintage 80s toys here. These are from Indiana Jones.
Absolutely.
It's really, I was playing some Indiana Jones on my stream. I got Indiana Jones here, and then I got.
I bet you have nothing from the new Star Wars movies. I bet you have nothing from 7, 8, 9.
Zero. But I got Voltron.
Hey, there you go, Voltron.
Voltron. I got Optimus Prime here. Boom.
Nice.
I got a whole barn full of my old 80s toys. They're not exactly in the best condition because I played with them hard back in the day, but some of them are in good condition. Optimus and Voltron, they're in good shape.
At least you still have them. That's the important thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll have to check out Doug's channel because he plays with all that and unboxes all the remakes and even some of the original stuff that he has.
That's awesome.
But
Doug.
guys,
That's so cool.
Next week we'll have another guest on, and then this Wednesday, episode number 5 of Legend Center. If you haven't watched it, I gave it to good old P-Dubs on Wednesday. Got him with a pie. Not any pie. It was full of mousse. He thought it was whipped cream, so he started eating it. Big mistake. The guy was after me for the last 3 episodes, guys. He's been giving it to me, so it was time for me to give it back to him. So you don't want to miss that. And if you missed, or if you're not sure what it's about, we got a little bit here for you. But stick around so you guys can call in. We'll put up the phone number. You call in, talk to Amiga Bill, talk to Glenn, Doug, myself. Always love having that. So we'll see you guys next week for more of the Retro Buzz.
Firmware update. Your Pixelcade marquee will be able to work natively with the games included on the At Games Legends Ultimate, Steven. That's right. So if you have a Pixelcade marquee, it will work with the At Games Legends Ultimate on July 1st. That is the big holiday July 4th update. But it's going to be able to do a few other things, Steven, which you're going to have to wait until next week, and I'll show you that. But for right now, get hyped.
You set me up on that because that's not what it says here on the notes.
Yeah, it does. It does.
No, it says, Steven, talk about firmware update Bluetooth headset. And I wrote no.
I swear, it's on there. It says, talk about the Pixelcade.
It's so hard to find good writers. We need better writers.
Want to qualify to win a Legends Gamer or Legends Ultimate? Participate in the Summer League event, and you may be able to do just that. Current Legends Ultimate owners can participate in the 10-week Summer League event, starting June 5th, 2020, and ending August 9th, 2020. During that time, there'll be a series of weekend leaderboard events for select games each week. This is a battle to the end. Practice up, make your scores count, and top the charts once and for all, and have a beauty of a prize to show for your hard work. Have fun on the leaderboards, and good luck.